Hey there, Ascension Pioneers. How was your weekend? I hope it was spent well. I wanted to do this video prior, but then I decided to have a nature retreat weekend because I had a terribly, horribly intense week that was behind me, and I just needed to unwind and have a retreat. The fact of the matter is, there's been this huge challenging period for me, and I've been speaking about it. I think I mentioned it a few times in my videos before. It was like this intense period of challenging, of initiation, and of so many things. And like I always say, I like to see things from a higher perspective. So I just keep pouring love into everything and not allowing the mind and all the egoic strifes to come in between, my being and the higher connection that I have with my higher version of me, my eternal version of me, that is the messenger of the messages that really come on the wings of my higher self, and that can only come through love anyway. So I want to talk about today about balance and really learning through opposites. Recently I saw this quote from someone saying, friends often ask me, so you always live in the state of bliss, you never have any negativity? And he said, no, I have about 1,000 thoughts rushing through me, 1,000 negative thoughts that I'm dealing with daily. And it's not about that. It's about sweet love of spirit pouring into that. And then I, wrote my own writing that it's true. It is not about not thinking negatively, we say don't think negative, think only positive. It's not about that. It's in neutralizing all of that through observing all these thoughts, allowing them, embracing them, and pouring in nothing but love. Because I've been struggling myself with a lot of the drama that wanted to be created in me, inside me, in my being, due to all the external situations and events that were really weird and bizarre and really hard for my being to accept here and to see the meaning. And I saw the meaning, but still, even though you know and see the meaning, sometimes it's so hard to really stay and live in that moment, because we have a dozen, 1,000, thoughts rushing by us, and we keep striving for this balance, between the spirit and matter. And we know things in spiritual truth, and we see them and we understand them, but we also need to feel them. Because when our heart feels them, when we really feel the love, not when we just know that this is how it's supposed to be and this is how things are unwinding, we also need to feel this. So that is why I want to speak about balance and learning through the opposites, because that's what we're doing. We're learning about everything through the opposites. We're learning, to stumble upon these opposites and really face them. Face all of our shadows, all of our deepest challenges, sometimes even those that we thought we would never experience in this lifetime, that were never meant to happen to us, but they do. And a lot of the times it's kind of hard for us when we ask ourselves the question whether what is happening to us that is challenging is there, that is beneficial for our growth, our spiritual growth, and our further union with the divine and bringing it forth in this realm, or is it something that's just not meant to be? Because people usually, the level of thinking in humanity is still, if something isn't working right away, or something is just not how I would like it, it's just not the right thing. But you have to discern there are two different things here. Sometimes we need these challenges. Sometimes things will be challenging exactly for us to bring greater love, greater unconditional love, and acceptance and compassion. Sometimes even in relationships, it's just people still have this vision that it has to be picture perfect and exactly how you want it. And if it's not like that, if it's not a smooth ride all the way, it's just not meant to be. But on the path of spirit, like a beautiful sister of light wrote last week, she said the path of the spirit is something completely different. Sometimes you have to be willing to let go of everything. All your thoughts, all your preconceived ideas about everything, basically everything, and then allow the spirit to show you the way through these obstacles, through climbing these mountains. And sometimes, the mountain that appears to be an obstacle is not even an obstacle, because you don't always need to climb it. Sometimes the path that will be required for you will be the one that goes around and around and around the circle, around the hill. For instance, we have the highest summit here, has about 15 routes that you can reach this summit in our Julian Alps in Slovenia. But, they're all different difficulties. So we each choose a level of difficulty that is appropriate for our being and for the level of love we wish to integrate here. So sometimes you think, yeah, the being who has greatest challenges will be the one that, they need to, because they're in such a low state of awareness. People still have that dualistic perception, and you need to know on the level of soul, it is not so easy to make conclusions here on the personal, on the physical level about that soul level. You cannot make such conclusions. People usually jump to these assumptions and conclusions because they don't know. They lack a higher understanding about it. But sometimes it's those who choose these obstacles and they choose them to integrate more love. For instance, if you have a difficulty in accepting a certain quality in someone, and then you just are posed, with these questions about it, or you're confronted with this certain relationship, and you will just experience that and go through it, and then you will learn to embrace this quality or qualities, and you will pour more of that unconditional love into your being. So for me, this week was all about letting go, really flushing away all the toxins, all the thoughts, all of the mental, of the fear, because the mental usually is associated with the fear that wanted to resurface. And they did resurface, but the key is always to allow it and to just, at the end, keep invoking the light of the truth to present itself to you. Because when the mind makes assumptions, it is never for our highest good. We need to wait. Sometimes people, what they don't know is to wait. So how can you integrate that great balance within you when you really don't see that what is required of you is that faith, patience, and trust? It's what we're dealing with right now. And the hardest challenge, the hardest lessons for everyone on this plane will be to really have that faith in the divine. Because we all say everything is divine, but when we're presented with certain challenges, we kind of, no, it's not divine because it doesn't happen the way I'm supposed to want it, I'm supposed to get it. It's just, we say it's all divine, but then, we kind of determine to what degree that is divine. Everything is divine. So if we don't trust it on a certain level, that is what is required of us right now. We need to trust this divinity on all levels. For instance, if you're very passionate about your purpose, like I am, I really don't have issues or fears in trusting that I'm always supported, even financially, even if I don't do things for money. I really trust, and I have no fears regarding this. It's an easy challenge for me to conquer. But there are certain things that for me are more intimate, like personal relationships where I'm more vulnerable at. So these are the aspects of faith that I need to still work on. So see, this is the greatest balance that we're getting in our lives. So what I'm saying is this balance will always be triggered by the opposite of what is already known to us. So if I already know and integrate something, I will be presented with the opposite of that, to see, to have both sides of the equation. Okay, I have to tell you something. Last week I saw a video from this Sister of Light. She was doing astrology reading for Virgo, and I really wanted to see my astrology for September because it's my birth month. September 15th is my birthday, everyone. So publicly. So I really wanted to check in what it brings forth to me, especially because September 15th, I think also 16th, it depends on where you are in the world. There's a full moon in Virgo happening. No, pardon me, new moon. New moon in Virgo, that means new beginnings, new starts, So the cycle that is now recycling of the old and a lot of letting go is now keeping letting go until, the full moon. What's wrong with me today? I mean, the new moon comes, I guess I'm still under the influence of the last full moon. It was really powerful. It brought great releasing within me. So anyway, I wanted to say that is why I wanted to check out these videos on Virgo astrology for September. And the beginning of that video was actually the woman describing the T-squares, the square positions in astrology. I'm really not an astrology person. I don't know much about it. I know a few things that I learned through watching a few videos, but that is it. No other knowledge. But the thing was, she was explaining that, and I was interested to, to maybe see what she has to say, and I was guided to listen. And it was really interesting because she brought the deeper meaning and aspect to the squaring of positions in your charts, in everyone's charts, in the basic astrology. And she was saying that people usually have a negative connotation to these, they give negative connotation to these squares and say, wow, these are squares, it's going to be really difficult, really challenging, or this is not for you because it's the opposite and you'll have to learn it the other way. But she said she sees it the other way because we all need to learn that everything right now requires a non-duality approach. So when we say in a position, she explained, what it literally means is, like I say, learning through the opposite is something that you still maybe lack. I mean, we all have everything, and in our being, but we need to integrate it. So that's what we're doing in this physical lifetime, in this embodiment. We pick something, we pick certain lessons or experiences that we need to get more something of that we not have yet embodied. So she was saying, for instance, that when you have your birth chart and then you have your sign and there's an ascendant and there's these nodes, I don't know how they're called, but it's something about the oppositions. And she said that basically what the opposition can show you, it can show you your marital partner or your spouse in the future or certain things. And it's the opposite sometimes of what you have, and the opposites will usually show you what you will work on through learning or experiencing. And I feel the same way. So I believe that we need to get rid of all this beliefs of duality. You know, when you see certain words, it's square. Oh, you know, let's fear squares. Let's only love the, I don't know, conjunctions. I don't know. I don't know anything about astrology, seriously. About, you know, those more harmonious aspects, some astrologers say, or less harmonious aspects. But the truth of the matter is, the more you really see the deeper truth of all that is, how can something not be of source? It's like I usually like to say, all is of source. So even a threatening opposition will be like, oh, you know, how can you see it as a threatening thing or a negative connotation? Describe a negative connotation to it. Why would you do that? Because it will serve you. And at the end, everything serves us. All the challenges, all the trials and tribulations, because we grow bigger. We grow bigger. We grow into our being. You see, we all know everything in our spirit. I mean, not all, because even Source learns about the aspects of itself that are not yet discovered. But we know in our being as the things that we know. And when we come into this embodiment, we forget about a lot of these things. And there's this veil and keeps unfolding and unveiling. So that is why a lot of the things need to be learned through these opposites, through showing us the other side of the equation. For instance, let me give you this great example about twin flames. I was reading a lot about this and also experiencing, and it's true. A lot of those writings said that basically the personality will be very much, it can be very different, although the energy is one, it's the same because it's one soul energy. One source bubble of light split into two, masculine, feminine, beautiful expressions of spirit joining together. So the thing was, it said that one will maybe have a very different personality. And how I was experiencing this was, for instance, one will be more strong in embodying the peace quality. The other one will be more in strength, you know, more like warrior, easy through the challenges. Nothing is difficult for them, you know, and the other maybe will be more not so empowered in that section. So what they will do, they will be the opposite of each other, but through their same vibrational energy, they will actually help each other embody both of these aspects, and all of them, basically, all these divine attributes that their being already incorporates. And what already exists, they're just drawing it forth from spirit. That is what we're doing. We're drawing forth, you know, we're basically, we're that type of the beings, and everything is like that. We are bringing forth spirit in the matter. We keep pulling, we keep pushing and pulling. And you know, when things get challenging and tough, it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, it's not the right thing. You know, that's what the fear says, because the fear is used to experiencing things as it already knows it. And it's in the comfort zone and it's in the box. But the soul wants to expand. And the question that you can ask yourself is, how does one usually expand? How does a rubber band expand? You stretch it. And how do we stretch? Is it easy for the rubber band when she gets stretched? No, it's not. It probably hurts. It's all, I'm too tense. I was too tense before. Now it all feels so, ow, you know. Who's stretching me? Who's pulling me out, you know? But then you put it back, you know, it kind of resonates back at its place and says, wow, I've experienced a new state of expansion. And I keep expanding and contracting and see where I am comfortable with fitting in. I'm looking at my true comfort space, not just that one space I'll eternally remain there. Within all that is, I'll just keep remaining there. How come? If all is to be explored, if all is to be experienced, because there's so much in this vast creation. So what we do is we keep expanding. So the path of expansion is not always the path that will be, you know, it's a difficult path, not the right path. Sometimes the right path will be a more difficult one, because at the end it will bring forth even greater balancing, greater healing and wholeness, and you will feel so much more love coming through you. I just cannot describe, because it's something personal that I've been going through. And there was lots of inner work, and there was no outer communication, so to say. So I needed to be within me, and I just needed to stay present and really deal with my own shadows, my own fears, my own insecurities, and to just keep the faith. And through that love, I believe love can only birth love, like I've read in my last video, so do check that out. And it can't birth anything other than that, but it has to be pure love. So all that is not of love needs to go. And when we're dealing with these letting go moments, and when we are putting off so much, then revelations come, and within the revelations there will always be a message of love. And how do we discern between the guidance of the ego and of the soul? Is the higher self guidance, that it's even beyond just your soul guidance, will always be pure now. It's always about purity of the light of the truth, always in the now. It'll never give you, predictions for the future, or what will be or what is to come, because a lot of the people see and predict, and that's on a certain level of awareness, but the higher self is beyond all of that, because it's always in the eternal realms. So this is where we truly know that that kind of guidance is pure. Like, it's like this angelic song. It's when you feel divine. It's sometimes it's not words, you just cry. It's a feeling. That's the guidance of your higher self. It's when you feel totally at one with it, and you just don't doubt. You don't doubt at all, and that's how you know you're being guided by your higher self. Either way, it doesn't matter what it tells you, what it makes you feel, but you don't doubt it. That's how you know you're really in your space, in your source space. But when it's from the ego, it'll be one thought after another and one after another, and you're going to be even more confused, and that what creates drama. Confusion creates drama, and you making assumptions, and one thing follows another, and that's how we get to certain states that we get ourselves into, and we self-sabotage ourselves. So basically what I'm trying to say is keep learning through experiencing the opposite. For instance, a lot of the people say, ooh, Virgo and Gemini, very bad for each other, opposite poles. They both have Mercury as the ruling planet, but the total opposite of it. So, ooh, stay away from each other. But it's not true, because when you look at the deeper spiritual nature of, of things, we all need to embrace and embody exactly what is not yet fully empowered within us. So when you already have certain qualities, your being will lack a mirror that will mirror something else to you, because a lot of us is used to wanting, for instance, let me speak about partnership in life. You want a partner who will be exactly like you and mirror to you what you already have. I want it the same. If they don't do what I do, then, it's not good for me because they don't mirror me. I used to believe that as well. But now I see that it's more than this. On a certain level, that is true. But when you go beyond that, you will see that what your being really craves for is always eternally, it's always expansion. It keeps wanting to expand itself. So you will basically get, resonant energy, equal space of love, but certain qualities in your personality that you have not yet fully embodied, or not fully embraced within you yet, or accepted, or allow it to flow. And maybe they won't do everything perfect the way you do, you think you do, but they will be perfect in other, other form or other senses. But you're both equally perfect anyway. I'm just trying to say about the, bringing forth our divine attributes and qualities. That is all I wanted to say for today, because I want to go for my run now after my smoothie. And I just hope to share some more love this week. So stay tuned, stay connected. Talk to you later. Much love.